So Nick, what were your thoughts on the debate tonight?
I thought it was a really interesting experience. I think it was great to get the conversation had, to talk between both sides, to understand more of the arguments, and for students to get the opportunity to hear more about the arguments on both sides. I think this is not something we can take lightly. This is a serious decision. It's something I feel strongly about. But it was a good debate. There were things I'd change, things I'd say differently if I went back and did it again. But I'm happy that we got the key arguments across. This is an important debate, and I think we made clear the problems with the NUS. It's shown its inability to reform. It's shown its problems, and really, to me, it's in a situation where the only good option is to disaffiliate.
For those who might have missed the debate tonight, could you reiterate the benefits of University of Leicester Students' Union disaffiliating from the NUS and what it would mean for our students?
So there's a few key arguments here. Firstly, the affiliation fee. So we give the NUS nearly £50,000 a year to be a member, which is more than double the grant funding pot for student societies last year. This is a huge amount of money that could go to help us in all sorts of different ways here at the university. You've got a broken democratic structure, which means the NUS cannot effectively represent students. Due to a delegate system which doesn't engage students, only 372 students out of the 7 million members of the NUS voted for the current president, Malia Bouattia. And you've seen the consequences of that, a president that's out of touch and has made some terrible anti-Semitic statements that one of the statements the Home Affairs Select Committee has just in the past few days described as smacking of blatant racism. This is not representing students. This is a serious problem. And I think that this really doesn't represent us here at Leicester, and we need to disaffiliate.
So do you think there might be risks involved with leaving the NUS, particularly in the Students' Union not having a seat at that big table anymore?
It's not going to be a simple process. I'm not going to sort of stay and say we're going to click our fingers and we're going to leave. The Students' Union has already said it's going to take a number of months. It's why it's already still running the delegate elections. That we're not going to leave instantly. It's not an instant process, but it's a process that will not, I don't think, impact on students majorly. And I think, again, there's this myth that leaving the NUS means that we're isolated, we're on our own, that we don't have any power. There's already 10 students' unions who have disaffiliated. A number have been there for a number of years, like Southampton and St Andrews. Our local neighbour Loughborough have also recently disaffiliated. We can work with these students' unions, and even those still in the NUS, while we're out of the NUS. Just because we're not in the NUS, it doesn't mean we're on our own. We can still work together for the best of our students and students around the country.
And how do you think the Leicester Students' Union would do things differently?
I think it would. I think we would have our own policies. We would have our own representation. I'm sure there are policies that we would take action differently. You've seen, just an example, I'm sure that there'd be a number of students here pushing for a change in our direction on freedom of speech, a move away from no platforming and safe spaces to encouraging debate, things like that we can take into our own power. We're not taking policy from the NUS. We can choose our own direction, whether it's how we choose to organise to oppose the higher education bill. We've seen the NUS this week. Well, a group of students' unions pass a motion calling for the NUS to have a ballot among its members on whether we should have a risk assessment on the impact of boycotting the NSS. That's a baffling procedure. The very few students here can understand and engage with that. If we have a consultation through our own democratic structures like Student Council, we can make decisions on our views on this policy, we can have our say, and then we can work together with other students' unions, as I previously mentioned, in our best interests. And I think that ability to have power here at Leicester is an important one and a positive argument for disaffiliation.
A key issue in the Leave campaign was talk about a broken democracy and how there was such a poor voter turnout in electing the current president. Do you feel this is a problem with student engagement and interest, and how can we bring about a fairer student voice, do you think?
I think knowing that power is here at Leicester would do a positive approach. I think the NUS has shown that it's unable to change its voting system. I think you could, if you wanted to, give more power within the NUS by introducing a one-member, one-vote system, but that has been tabled at the last 5 national conferences, and every time it's failed to pass, whether it's been filibustered or voted down. It's shown it cannot change. So the democratic system at the moment in the NUS needs a complete revolution, which I don't think anyone sees happening, and the scale that's needed for it to actually work. And I think knowing that say can be had here, and that we're not sending it on to people talking at conferences that we don't get feedback to and we don't understand, will hopefully increase engagement here at Leicester. And I think that's how we can engage and make for a better experience here.
How can we make sure the membership fee we would save from disaffiliating from the NUS would be put to good use rather than simply covering the costs of the disaffiliation?
Firstly, talking about cost, the Remain campaign during their comments mentioned multiple times the benefit statement the NUS releases, which frankly we cannot trust. There's no way we can rely on that statement when at 2 universities during their referendum they admitted that the NUS had overestimated the statement to the tune of £17,000. Now when it comes to the money here, again I can't guarantee how that money will be spent. I'm not going to put it on the side of the bus, as I said during the debate. I'm not going to promise that to people because I can't. But I can say that money can be put to good use here, and I feel that it'd be much more accountably used here. We can see where that money is going. We have a much better idea about the financial dealings of our students' union and how the money is used, and have more impact on where it's put than we can at the NUS, where again it's just a tangled mess.
Okay, Nick, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thanks very much. Nice to have time.